Good afternoon, Year 2, and welcome to your PSHE lesson today. We are continuing on with our dreams and goals topic and looking again at teamwork. So, last week you were looking at communication and the importance of listening to as well as sharing ideas. So, I'll share my screen and we'll get going. Okay, so today's big question is, can you remember how it felt when you have helped someone or they have helped you to achieve your goals? Can you remember how it felt? That's what we're going to be looking at today. So here is an outline of today's lesson. These are some timings for you to follow if you want to, just to help you. But if you spend more time or less time on these activities, that is up to you. That's absolutely fine. So the first part of the lesson is a brief reflection on what you did last week. At that point, you can pause the video and share your ideas or jot them down. Then you'll be listening to a story and you will be listening out for how the character achieves his goals and also who else helps him to achieve his goal. Then you will do your team's assignment. It's over to you at that point. You can again spend however long you want to on that activity. The questions are based on the story. There are 3 of them. So I've recommended about 15 minutes, but again, that is up to you if you want to spend more or less time. And then finally, there is a mindfulness activity, which you don't need to submit, but that is just there for you if you would like to do that. So, can you remember what these words mean from last week? At this point, you can reflect on last week's lesson. You can pause the video, have a discussion with somebody nearby you, or jot down some ideas. Okay, 2 minutes to do that. Off you go. Right, so hopefully you've had an opportunity to pause the video and I'll briefly go through these with you. So, learning together, that is all about sharing ideas and listening to each other, communicating so that we can learn from each other. So, you do this at school normally, you listen to your other partner's ideas and you learn from each other. Success is what we get out of all the hard work that we put in. It is what you get from what you wanted from putting all that hard work in. Celebrating is recognizing your success. So you recognize all that hard work you and your teammates put in. Achievement is very similar to success. It is what you get out of something after you put all that hard work in when you achieve something. A goal is personal to you. It is something that you aim towards, something that you work for. And partners and teamwork, that is all about the people who help you along the way and who you work with as a team to get to your end goal. Okay. So I will now be reading this story to you. It is called Up and Down by Oliver Jeffers. And I'd like you to think about how the penguin tries to achieve his goal and who else helps him along the way. Okay, so once there were 2 friends who always did everything together. Until one day the penguin decided there was something important he wanted to do all by himself. Fly. He did own wings after all, even if they didn't work very well. Although that didn't stop the penguin from trying. And trying. But nothing worked, and it wasn't before long that he ran out of ideas. The boy even offered him a go in his plane, but the engine hadn't recovered from the last flight. And besides, it wasn't the same. The penguin wanted to do this all by himself. After doing a bit of homework, It seemed the odds were against him. So, together, the boy and the penguin decided it was time to ask for help. When something caught the penguin's eye, and he knew this was his chance. In his excitement, he rushed off without a word. The boy didn't know where he'd gone. The boy looked everywhere and even thought he'd found his friend for a second, although none of these penguins knew how to play his favourite game. Meanwhile, the penguin had found the right place and was hired on the spot. Soon he'd get to fly. But suddenly, he realised he didn't know where his friend was or how to get home. Later that night, the penguin couldn't help but miss his friend. Likewise, the boy could barely sleep for worrying about his friend. The next day, the boy tried to think of all the places the penguin would go when something caught his eye. He didn't have much time. The penguin's big moment had come, but somehow he wasn't so sure about flying anymore. He wished the boy were there and even wondered if his friend had noticed he'd gone. But it was too late for thoughts like that. He took off like a bullet. The boy rushed in, hoping he could still catch his friend. The penguin couldn't believe how high he was flying and how fast he was flying, and he had no idea how he was going to land. He was terrified and wished his friend was there to help him. The boy was there to catch him. The friends agreed that there was a reason why his wings didn't work very well. Because penguins don't like flying. So together, the two friends made a break for home to play their favourite game. Okay, so that's the end. And if you'd like to read that story again or look at the pictures to help you with your assignment, you can find the document along with your assignment on Microsoft Teams. Okay, so over to you now. So your assignment on Microsoft Teams is to answer these 3 questions all about the book. So what was the penguin's goal or his dream? How did the boy and the penguin work together as a team to achieve that goal? And how do you think the penguin felt when he had to achieve the goal all by himself rather than with a partner? Okay, so that is up to you how you do that. If you want to type it up or print it off and write on it, that's absolutely fine. And when you finish that, if you have enough time, there is also a stretch for you to think about a time when you've worked in a team. Did it go well? And how did it make you feel? And finally, there is an optional activity. If you would like to do this, you don't need to submit it. This is just for you. Creating a piece of artwork, thinking about how it feels to be working in a team. So you might like to do this with a sibling or whoever else you've got around at home. You can draw around your hands to create these penguins, or you can use whatever materials you have around your house. It is up to you if you want to do this and how you do it. And again, you don't need to submit that. Okay, so just do your 3 questions and your stretch if you have time. Okay, so good luck with that. I look forward to seeing your work and have a lovely afternoon.